Okay, guys. So I'm assuming you all can hear me. So just type if you can't hear me. So tonight we're talking about pre-workout snacks and we're talking about supplements. So I have a few announcements before we get started. Announcement number one is the guide, the week 3 guide I sent you guys in the email was actually a draft and it didn't have all the information in it that it was supposed to. So tonight when I send the replay link to this, I'm going to resend the guide and I just have a little bit more detail about the different supplements in the supplement guide I sent you guys. So just so you know, it wasn't wrong what was received earlier in the week. It just was not, it was a draft. So I'm going to resend that tonight after this recording. And then my other announcement is make sure you enter this week's challenge. So make sure you post in the Facebook group community and then make sure you post a picture on Facebook or social media or Instagram, somewhere more public, using hashtag 30dayathlete, ATHLEAT, and tag me Serena Marie RD so that we can spread the word about our athletic endeavors and how we are learning to be healthy, awesome athletes. Okay, so this week we are focusing on pre-workout and pre-workout snacks. And we talked about this a little bit during the webinar. So some of this is going to be more of a review, but I also wanted to delve a little bit more into about like fasted cardio today and also about how to make it more realistically implemented in your routine and in your lifestyle, because I know for me, making sure I get my pre-workout snack in sometimes can be a challenge. So I wanted to kind of problem solve that with you guys today on the air. And if everyone can just mute their microphones so that it is easier just to hear me talking. And then if you guys have questions, obviously just unmute and ask me the questions. I love it when you guys ask questions. Okay, so pre-workout snack. Pre-workout snacks, we are trying to aim to take about 1 to 2 hours before our activity or our exercise. And that's the ideal time to get the food into our bloodstream because, one, it gives our body enough time to start digesting the carbohydrates and the protein in the snack so that it gets into our bloodstream so that when we're working out, we feel powerful and we have the energy that our body needs to work out well. We have a little bit of protein in there so that we can kind of help to control blood sugar, but it's not so far before the workout that, you know, we're going to use up all the energy and we're going to kind of need to eat again before the races. So one of the questions I've been asked has been kind of like, what do you do if you're waking up really early before a race? How are we managing that in terms of you're like getting up like 4 or 5 hours before your race? How do you manage, you know, eating and snacking before that race that's 4 to 5 hours later? What's the race day strategy? So you can kind of approach this several different ways. You could either decide to have a meal that is kind of like definitely would avoid the fat before the race. So I definitely would avoid, you know, having a fatty meal the 4 to 5 hours before a race. And I definitely would avoid having fiber before the race, but kind of doing like the simple or the quick carbs with a little bit of protein the 4 to 5 hours before the race. But then I would make sure to kind of top off my sugar stores when I got on the line. So maybe that 30 minutes before you start, you would have something that's pure sugar. Like you maybe would have some juice or some maple syrup or a goo or a stinger or something like that to kind of, you know, fuel up the simple sugars. Or if you're doing the starchy route of fueling, 30 minutes before the race, you would have your starch, like your UCAN or your Martens or your potato, and then you would kind of use that to fuel for the first 60 to 90 minutes of your race. So that would be kind of how I would implement that strategy. I know that was a question Alice had about if you're taking the if you're waking up so early on race day, how do you kind of manage, you know, snacking and eating but still getting the energy to fuel the performance but not kind of having a full belly. So hopefully that kind of clears that up. Does anyone have a question about, you know, race day pre-workout fueling? Nope. Okay, cool. Okay, so I realized I kind of went out of order here because I probably should have talked about what you're supposed to eat in terms of what is the best pre-workout snack. And I'm kind of assuming all of you guys watched the webinar from a few weeks ago and that you remember the webinar, but I shouldn't make assumptions. So the best way to kind of remember what to do before a pre-workout snack, no problem, Alice, happy to answer your question. The best way to kind of formulate your pre-workout snack is to use the perfect formula, and you're spelling formula with the number 4, F-O-U-R, because we're trying to remember that carb has 4 letters in it, and you need 4 times more carb than protein in your pre-workout snack. This is not because fat is bad. Fat is wonderful for us, but fat just kind of sits in your stomach longer. When we eat a fatty meal, it kind of slows digestion. And when we are trying to digest something quickly before a race, we want to make sure that it's moving from our stomach into the next level of digestion into our intestines. And fat is not going to make that happen so easily. So we want to make sure that we're avoiding high fat before a run, especially the 1 to 2 hours before a run. We want simple carbs. So we want those easily to digest carbohydrates before our run. Because if you have something with too much fiber, like beans or veggies or a salad or those grains that have a lot of fiber in them, like maybe a Gigi cracker or Wassa cracker or farro or something, that might just kind of again cause some issues with digestion, because we talked about in unit 1 in week 1 that those filling fibrous grains are great for making us feel fuller longer, but part of the reason they're doing that is because they are so difficult to digest. And when we go running, we do not want things that are difficult to digest in our belly. So we want our meal to have 4 times more simple or quick carbs than filling carbs, and we also need a little bit of protein in there. So we need something like a single egg or a little bit of egg white, a little bit of powdered peanut butter. You could have a little piece of like some leftover meat or turkey meat or something like deli meat. Just a little bit of protein just to kind of help the digestion be slowed down, because simple or quick carbs are absorbed so quickly from the bloodstream, and that protein, that little bit of protein, helps them last that 1 to 2 hours, so that when we get out on the road, we still have the sugar in our bloodstream and we feel good and feel energized for our pre-workout snack and for our workout that day. Does anyone have any questions before we go on to the next topic here? Okay, we're quiet today. Okay, so my thing is always like, I a lot of times will try and take my pre-workout snack in the afternoon, because I'm a lot of times working out after work. So I need to try and remember to take my pre-workout snack like during the workday, which actually is pretty challenging for me, because at the end of the day, I'm usually rushing around, and sometimes I'm not even like super hungry yet. But I found for me personally, if I don't have that pre-workout snack at like 3 or 4 o'clock, then I'll get to like the track, I'll get outside to run, I'll get to the treadmill, and I'll be starving, or I won't even be starving, but I just won't feel energized. And I have noticed that being intentional and having that pre-workout snack the 2 hours before I am doing my workout really makes a difference in me being able to power through and give that workout my all. So a lot of times people will be kind of stressed out, and I know I personally, as a very petite woman, have had this stressful situation, which is totally you just creating stress in your head. But this stressful situation of like, oh my God, do I have this snack because I'm not starving right now? And do I take in these calories? Because what if, for some reason this workout doesn't come to fruition? Like maybe, I don't know, I stay at work late and I miss my workout, or a client schedules a call and I can't go to my workout. And this for years, and I don't know if this is a problem with any of you, but I'm just telling you my story as an athlete, as a female athlete. For years, this was always kind of mucking me up, because I was so afraid to have this snack that wasn't necessary, because I would accidentally skip my workouts now and then, that I would consistently skip the snack, because I was like, oh, I'm not starving, I don't need to snack. And then I would get to my workout and I would be in the gym and I would be like, I should do another lap, I should do another mile, I should do another 2 laps, but I'm really hungry and I want to go home, or I don't feel good, I don't have the energy. And I've realized that by kind of like committing to this idea that I am an athlete and I need to feed my body as an athlete, and if sometimes that means I eat a snack when I wasn't that hungry, like, you'll live, you'll be fine. Like, it's not going to ruin anything. I found that by being committed to that had really helped me get my brain in the game. So recently training for New York City half before this week of having a little injury, every workout that I was doing, it was hard, but I finished that workout. And it was because I was really spot on with getting my snacks in. So for me, what was effective was setting an alarm on my phone and making sure I had a snack at work that I could kind of quickly access in case I forgot to pack something. So it would be, for instance, like I would have a banana. Bananas are always readily available at the hospital, and a little bit of Greek yogurt, and that would be a good pre-workout snack for me. Or even just packing something like a smoothie, that would be another good pre-workout snack that I would bring to work, and setting the alarm on my phone to make sure that I got that snack in. Like being committed to the fact that I am an athlete, I am a runner, and I need that snack. So Julie said I have an issue big time with being super sensitive about my weight and trying not to overconsume and gain weight. And it's a hard habit to break. And like Julie, I really understand, because I think especially as women, most women are always talking about, losing weight and managing their weight, and that's all of their eating decisions are around managing their weight. And then for you to kind of break the mold, not you, but like for us as runners to break the mold and be like, we're eating right now because we have a hard workout later. I have a race tonight. I have a 5K, race tonight. I have a track meet tonight. I've definitely had people be like, why are you eating? Like, what are you doing? The judgment. And really, you need to own the fact that you're an athlete and set the alarm on the phone, make a plan and say to yourself, like, I'm going to eat this snack for performance. Obviously, like, if you're about to vomit, you're so full, you can't fit the snack in your belly, like, don't stress yourself out. But for me, I found that even if I'm not like really hungry for a snack, if I'm kind of hungry and I have the pre-workout snack 1 to 2 hours before my workout, it really makes a difference in crushing my workout. And also, like, the other way I kind of think about this is because I'm working out harder, like I'm lifting more weights, I'm doing more reps, or like recently I'm running more mileage, I'm running harder. You're actually boosting your metabolism, right? So you have this like 200, 300 calorie snack pre-workout, but you're working harder and you're building muscle and you're boosting your metabolism and you're caring and nurturing for your body and your metabolism in that way. So the snack is like totally necessary. Barb says, I run at 5 a.m. How do I snack before? I don't want to wake up super early. Today I ran 8.3 miles. Should I take a GU on my drive to my run? Awesome. I love how you're trying to problem solve this, Barb. That's amazing. Pardon me. So I would say that if you're doing a fasted run once a week, I think that's totally appropriate. The research is so back and forth about fasted cardio. Pretty much it's suggested at this time that fasted cardio does not increase fat burning in the way of like, you're not going to be more likely to be burning fat from your body, your thighs, whatever, because you did fasted cardio. So it's not like this way of managing your weight, because I know for a long time that was kind of thought of like a method to manage weight. But that said, the literature does say that perhaps fasted cardio can help our body learn how to switch from carb burning mode to fat burning mode when necessary. So the reason that this is like potentially advantageous is because, as we know from last week's lesson, we all are here learning how to use carbohydrate, whether it's a starch, whether it's Martens, fancy new fueling, whether it's quick sources of carbohydrate like your honey stingers or your untapped maple syrups, gels. We all know that using carbs for fuel is the best way to make sure that we're curbing our appetite and making sure that we're performing well, right? Because all of us here are athletes and we want to do the best performance that we can do for our own personal goals. But that said, we are, as we get into this deeper mileage, like, the 15K plus category, we aren't going to be completely running on carbohydrate because, the metabolism is complex, and you're going to start having lactic acid, you're going to start having amino acids, you're going to start having fatty acids. And by practicing fasted cardio once a week, the thought is that maybe that helps your body react better to when you're getting in that higher mileage and you are having some fat in the equation as you're breaking down different products for fuel, and help your body feel better. So doing a fasted workout once a week has my my blessing. And that said, it's kind of difficult to kind of figure out what the research really says is the best thing to do. Potential consequences of doing fasted cardio all the time is, one, fasted cardio is linked to actually creating some damaging byproducts. So we don't want to be constantly putting these like damaging products into our bloodstream, although we are going to eat antioxidants later in the day to try and counteract that, but that wouldn't be something I'd want to be regularly doing. But two, what's more importantly is that I find people who are fasting regularly during their cardio sessions tend to have a revved up appetite, and they tend to be more engaged in like binging and overeating and not recovering very well. So I think it's really important that we're sticking to fasted cardio once a week. And I think it's also really important that we're going to talk about this next week, more the post-recovery snacks, but it's really important if you are doing fasted cardio that you're really diligent about getting your post-workout meal or snack. Okay, but anyway, Barb, so now let me answer your question. So you're trying to basically say, instead of doing fasted cardio every day because you're an early bird runner, what do you do before? So my suggestion to you would be to stick to those simple, quick carbs. So we kind of talked about in the very beginning of the lesson how someone who is waking up 5 hours before their race, what do they do like when they are about to run? And we talked about topping off their carb stores. So something that you could do would be having something like a quick, simple carb, like a little bit of juice or a little bit of applesauce or a little bit of some kind of fruit, like a banana or crackers or something, or like you just said, your GU, taking it like with less than 30 minutes to go before your run. So you wake up, you just take it in your mouth, and that is going to kind of help to make sure your body can work out harder that day, especially something like an 8-mile run that's a long run. And if you even can have a little bit of protein with that, if you have that 30 minutes to spare, so like doing a little bit of powdered peanut butter mixed in with your applesauce, or having a little bit of protein with it, that would work well too. But if it's something like you're running at 5, you hardly have any time to get out the door, just having a GU would work just fine. That would suffice. So Barb, let me know if that answered your question. No problem, of course. Okay, Kristen asks, could BCAAs be good when we might not have time for or want a snack before or after run? I've been experimenting with that, and I think it helps, but it could also be in my head. Okay, so branched-chain amino acids is what BCAA stands for. It's leucine, isoleucine, and valine, and these amino acids, and we talked about this in Unit 1, amino acids are basically the building blocks of protein. So protein is made up of amino acids. And what these branched chain aminos do is they actually are going to kind of function similarly to giving our body energy. Like they kind of they look similar to glucose, and your body can kind of use them similarly when compared to like energy, like glucose in the body. What this does is it's going to help prevent some of the muscle breakdown that will happen when you're engaging in this fasted workout. So if you're doing something really hard and you're working out really hard and there's no sugar in your bloodstream, you're doing it fasted, your body is trying to get energy from somewhere, and it's breaking down protein or muscle to kind of get that energy. And this is another reason why we should really only be doing fasted workouts once a week. But if you have the BCA in your bloodstream, there's some science to say that that can help with preventing that muscle breakdown, and therefore that might be part of the reason that you're feeling a little bit better. The science, again, is iffy, so I don't have like a strong negative or positive thing to say about it. I would say it's one of those things, like if you're doing fasted cardio once a week and you have BCAAs, you have branched chain amino acids, taking them before and after that workout isn't probably not going to hurt you. Always want to discuss supplement suggestions with the doctor, of course. But the science really isn't like sure enough for me to give you a very strong recommendation for or against it. BCAAs, or branched chain amino acids, also have some evidence to show that they help with recovery, but we're going to go to talk about supplements in a minute. And there's a supplement out there that has really strong literature for recovery. So rather than recommending BCAAs, I actually recommended a different supplement. So we'll get to that in a second. So does anyone else have any questions in regards to pre-workout snacks? I just want to make sure I talked about everything I wanted to talk about. No problem, Kristen. Okay, so yeah, so in terms of pre-workout snacks, just to recap, we ideally are using the perfect formula. Carbs, the word carb is 4 letters, and that's why we are going to remember we need 4 times more carbohydrate than protein the 1 to 2 hours before we get out the door for our run. This is ideal to make us feel our best. So ideally on race day, if you can have a small snack 1 to 2 hours before the race, and then if you wanted to kind of tap off your stores on the starting line with some sugar, or if you're doing the starchy route, you would want to just skip the snack 1 to 2 hours before and just do the UCAN or the Martens or the sweet potato or rice formula from last week's lesson. You could do that. Okay, so that would be for race day strategy. If you are working out in the afternoon, setting an alarm on your phone makes all the difference in the world. And again, this is me talking from personal experience. It is really important that you not like let the fear of what if I eat this snack and then don't work out, or get to the track and I don't feel good enough to do the hard workout. Eat the damn snack. It's going to make such a difference in you improving your athletic performance. You're going to feel better. You're going to show up more often to your workouts, and you're going to crush your workouts. And that's going to make you feel really proud of yourself. And that's going to make you more likely to keep running, keep signing up for races, keep athleticism as a part of your, lifelong commitment to health. And we talked about fasted cardio and how fasted cardio really should be only engaged in once a week maximum, okay? Fasted cardio is not linked with burning body fat. So people that are doing fasted cardio because they're trying to slash inches off their waist, the research is not showing that that's actually going to be effective. What it will do is going to increase the negative byproducts of metabolism in your bloodstream, which could be detrimental. It is also going to break down lean body mass, which potentially, if you have branched chain amino acids in your bloodstream before a fasted workout, maybe that can help attenuate that, but maybe not. And fasted workouts really should only be done once a week because potentially maybe it can help your body switch between fat burning and fatty acid and using sugar for fuel. Okay, so I'm just going to see, does anyone have any questions? If you want to pop on here, if you want to type a question, just going to take a sip of water. So really, this is very simple, and we're just kind of like elaborating on it. But I really just want you guys to not feel intimidated by this. The perfect formula is very similar. Banana with powdered peanut butter. Some rice crackers with a little bit of hummus on it. And when I say you don't need a lot of fat before a meal, it doesn't mean you need to be afraid of like having a little bit of nut butter or a little bit of edamame hummus. And same with the fiber content. If you're having a little bit of edamame as your snack, or a little bit of like the broad beans or the enlightened chickpeas, it depends on the person, but for the most part, probably if you're having a little bit for the protein, it probably isn't going to really cause a big gastrointestinal issue. But very simple. Okay, guys, so next we're going to talk about supplements. So before we talk about supplements, I just wanted to remind you guys that you do not...
You're not going to be able to hear it.
Does someone have a question? Someone's microphone's not muted. If you have a question, let me know. Otherwise, just mute your mic. Okay, so supplements. Number one, always discuss supplements with the doctor. Okay, I don't know your past medical history. I don't know what medications you're taking. I don't know you personally, so always make sure you're discussing supplements with your doctor before you take them. Number two, nobody has to take supplements, okay? So this is not like me telling you that I want you guys to go out to the store and spend your money on supplements and pills. No way. I'd rather you guys spend your money on food, real good, wholesome food. So just let that be known that this is not me trying to make you take a bunch of pills. But that said, I know from working so long in the field of dietetics that so many people are always asking me questions about supplements, and people get really excited about it. So let's talk about it. Okay, so my number one supplement that I'm going to talk about is HMB. Okay, so this is hydroxymethylbutyrate, and basically this is so proteins are made up of amino acids, which are the building blocks, and then once your body gets the amino acid into its bloodstream, it further breaks it apart into other pieces, and HMB is one of the broken down pieces of an amino acid. And HMB at certain doses, 3,000 milligrams a day, or 2 doses of 1,500 milligrams a day. All this is written in your guide. You don't have to feel stressed out memorizing all this stuff. Actually has been very strongly associated with, one, increasing muscle mass. So that's kind of cool, right? The more muscle we have on our body, the more calories we burn at rest, okay? And also has been associated with recovery. So I said before how branched-chain amino acids have some research to show that they can help with recovery. And the reason I didn't include it on our supplement guide was because this research is much stronger. So rather than having you guys taking branched-chain amino acids and taking this, I wanted to simplify it. So I'm simplifying it by saying, forget about the branched-chain amino acids, just I would buy the HMB because this can help with recovery, this can help with increasing lean body mass, and also this has been shown to help with increasing VO2 max, so helping to kind of get more oxygen to your blood, to your muscle as you are performing so that you can feel less fatigued and work harder. So I'm actually a really big fan of HMB. I take this even when it's like off season, I'm not training hard. I recommend this to my fat loss clients. I am a really big fan of HMB. So again, discuss with your doctor, but this would probably be the supplement that I would most strongly recommend for you guys to be taking regularly because of how awesome the science is for the HMB. And again, this is all in your supplement guide, so you guys don't have to feel stressed out about memorizing this. And I'm going to resend you week 3 guide in the email with the replay because I have a little bit more information about these supplements that I don't know about. Okay, next I want to talk about omega-3 fatty acids. And if you guys have questions, just feel free to put them in the chat box or interrupt me because I want this to be a discussion. So omega-3 fatty acids, this is basically just a healthy source of fat, and it's mostly found most commonly in fatty fish like salmon, tuna, anchovies, sardines. So here's my rule of thumb. Like I said, I don't want people popping pills all the time. If you eat fatty fish that day, like you eat salmon, you eat anchovies, you eat sardines. By the way, if you guys like anchovies and sardines, I am so jealous. I really wish I liked those foods. But if you eat those that day, you don't have to take this pill, okay? You don't have to take the omega-3s because you got them from the fish, right? Like you don't need to double dose. I want this bottle to last you for a while if you end up buying this product. But what I will say, for days that you're not getting the fatty fish in, having the omega-3 supplement is awesome for several reasons. It can help decrease inflammation. So we talked before about how when you do fasted cardio, there's some of these negative damaging byproducts created. Ugh, Angie likes anchovies. I'm so jealous, Angie. So there's these negative byproducts that are created during running. So more so during fasted cardio, but as we get into this mileage, this high mileage, there's more oxidative stress on the body. So we're breathing and basically we're creating all of these damaging products in our body as we are working really hard, and respiration is happening as we're working out really hard. Now, this is okay because the body's so cool. And basically, as you are a runner and you keep running and you become a stronger, better athlete, all of these different antioxidant pathways in your body actually increase. So like as athletes, we have better antioxidant properties than those people who don't exercise. So that's pretty cool. I don't know. That makes me feel a little bit like a superhuman, like we're all kind of like part of the Avengers. But anyway, that aside, the other thing is that the food we eat also contains antioxidants. So this is why it's so important that we're eating, carbohydrates from these clean sources like sweet potatoes and minimally processed grains. This is why it's important that we're eating those organic and grass-fed sources of dairy and meat. This is why it's important that we're eating fruits and vegetables, because there's antioxidants, there's phytochemicals in those foods that help decrease the damage that occurs when we are running, the oxidative damage that occurs when we run. So I'm not trying to obviously scare anyone from running. Obviously, this whole process is about being runners and kind of using the tools in our toolbox to realize how to be a better runner. So one of the realities of being a runner is that we cause oxidative stress. We cause stress when we're breathing and working really hard as runners, and we need to kind of use food to help fight that damage. So omega-3 is awesome because taking omega-3 in therapeutic doses, and you can find all the information on your guide, actually is associated with decreasing inflammation in the body. So basically what this means is that once you start taking these high doses of the omega-3 or eating fatty fish on a regular basis, it takes about 1 to 2 weeks for the fat to actually become a part of your cell membrane. So our body is made up of all these different cells, and the cells have like a little wall around them, a cell membrane, and it's made up of fat. Now, depending on what kind of fat you eat in your diet will change how the cell membranes look. Now, I like to think of the cell membranes almost like a game of telephone. So basically, the type of fat you eat is the message. Okay, so let's say the message right now was, we're all going on a free vacation, all expenses paid in a week, right? So if that's the message, that would be like a healthy fat from omega-3 fatty acids from salmon or fish or the omega-3 supplement. So that's the message, and you tell one little cell in your body, hey, next week you're going on a free vacation, all expenses paid. And as that message is sent around, your body, everyone who hears the message gets really excited and happy. This is a positive thing. Like everyone's like, oh my God, we're going on vacation. And you know, as the telephone message grows, it's getting more and more elaborate. Oh, you're going on vacation, there's a yacht. Oh, you're going on vacation, there's a yacht, and you're gonna get free diamond jewelry, you know, whatever. It's a great message being spread throughout the body. This is how we keep our cells from creating more inflammation. This is how we keep our body fighting chronic disease like stroke and heart disease and keep our body from becoming injured. Now, when you're eating soybean oil or corn oil or vegetable oil, when you're eating a lot of sugar, the message that is in the little cells that's being passed from cell to cell is more like something like, you know, the house is about to collapse, it's on fire. And you hear that, you know, being spread from cell to cell to cell, everyone's freaking out, running for the hills. And that's when stress and inflammation actually takes over the body. You become injured, heart disease develops, diabetes develops. So my point here is that we want to put these healthy fats in the system so that all the cells are overjoyed and healthy and suppressing inflammation. We're keeping our cells happy. And omega-3 supplements are going to help you do that. And it's nice and easy. You don't have to eat salmon or fish or tuna or anchovies every single day. Sardines does count, Elia just asked. And lox does count as well. Smoked salmon, absolutely. Great questions. So by putting those signals into the system, we are going to do this. Now, the other really cool thing that I was reading about is that these fats also help to boost muscle production. So we talked about how every time you eat a palm-sized portion of protein, like 20 to 30 grams of protein, you're actually increasing muscle protein synthesis, which is the fancy way of just saying you're boosting muscle in the body. And omega-3 actually makes your body even better at upregulating that process of muscle protein synthesis. So I just think it's like so cool. And I would say after HMB, this would be another supplement I highly recommend, especially for those of you who don't eat a lot of fatty fish. I will say for those of you who are like plant-based and want to avoid having anything from fish, you would want to have something like a krill oil because that would be most bioavailable. I do not count eating chia seeds or flax seeds or hemp seeds as a great substitute for fatty fish just because the omega-3 from those plant-based supplement or those plant-based foods is not so bioavailable. So your body is not able to convert it to the form of the omega-3s that's really, really beneficial. The fish already did it for you. The fish already converted it for you. But for plant-based runners, getting it from krill actually is another good source of omega-3. So that's just a little side note there. Okay, so if you guys have questions, I just want to see what other supplements do we have on the list here? Omega-3 fatty acids, HMB. Okay, so collagen. So again, let me just pull up my collagen here. I have Vital Proteins. In your guide, I actually listed Great Lakes just because it's a more affordable option. They're both grass-fed. They both mix really well with coffee or water. And I really like collagen because there's a lot of research to show that, one, it helps fight aging. So for those of you who are vain, this is kind of cool because it can help protect our skin from breaking down and help basically prevent wrinkles or whatever, but you guys probably don't care about that. The more important thing is that this can actually help protect us from things like joint pain. So it actually helps to strengthen the cartilage in our body so that as we're running and using those joints, the collagen has evidence to show that it helps to prevent that collagen, that cartilage from breaking down and strengthening it. So this, I usually just put a scoop in my coffee and it mixes really well. And it's just like a really easy thing to integrate into my routine. Have I found, it's good for the knees, like Jonathan just said. Have you or anyone found that collagen can cause breakouts and are Vital and Great Lakes both marine collagen? Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so first of all, I don't know if collagen causes breakouts, so I cannot answer that question. If anyone else in the group has an answer to that question, please answer. That would be very helpful. I can't really think of a reason why it would cause breakouts. Like, I know a lot of times dairy proteins will cause issues with acne, but this is not from a dairy source. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure is my answer, but if someone has an answer for you, please share. And the other question was, do I take collagen before a run? Collagen is actually really easily, the hydrolyzed collagen is really easily broken down and settled in the stomach. So if you wanted to use this like before you went running, like the 30 minutes before you went running, Barb, if you mix this in some water with your goo, that would be a really good way to get the protein and the carb in right before your run. Oh no, Marla said she tried Great Lakes and she didn't like the flavor. Okay. I don't know, Marla. I don't taste it. So I put it in coffee every day and I don't taste it. So I don't know why, but maybe you're just more sensitive than I am. Okay, Ilya had a really good question asking about marine collagen. So here's what I wanted to say, and I talked about this with Janine, was that collagen comes from animals, right? Collagen is coming from the the bones of animals. So there is no like true plant-based form of collagen out there. And there's some stuff on the market that's marketed as like vegan collagen. And really what I think they're doing is they're taking like glycine and all these different amino acids that are found in the collagen, and they're taking them from plants and they're putting them together and marketing as collagen. I don't know the research on it. Like, in theory, it sounds like it would work, but I can't really like give like a pro or a con. The great thing that Ilya just brought up is that Vital Proteins, I know, does make marine collagen, which I believe is from fish, and that would work if you were plant-based but you feel comfortable eating fish. The fish do have the collagen in them, so you can just, Vital Proteins does sell a fish-based product. So that's an excellent question. I like Great Lakes and Vital because they are both grass-fed sources. So I know that those cows are humanely raised and treated well, and the pieces of cow being used are evolutionarily appropriate and are the healthiest that you can eat. Ilya said, when I learned about protein intake, it was important for it to be combined and taken as a complete protein. Is that still the case, or can it be taken like a vitamin to fill gaps in your day? Okay, great question. So learning about complete proteins is most important for people who are not eating meat. So every time you eat a protein that is a meat or dairy, this already has all of the essential amino acids, the amino acids that you have to eat from the diet. So you don't have to stress out about like getting a complete protein. Now that said, like something like hydrolyzed collagen, this isn't a complete protein. Like this is an isolated source of protein that has very specific amino acids, and it's supposed to be doing this therapeutic thing of like building cartilage and fighting the aging process. So the reason we don't have to stress out about this is because if you're eating meat at other times in the day, your body has already taken care of that essential component. You don't have to worry about completing anything. And I think Kristen or someone had asked a question on a different week, which was awesome, about balancing complete proteins if you are a plant-based runner. And what we had discussed was that your body is really smart. So the way digestion works is that when you eat protein, it mostly is getting absorbed in the small intestine. And there's these little like transporters there. And the transporters you can almost think of them like doors, okay? So the doors will only open up for specific types of amino acids. Remember, amino acids are the building blocks for protein. Now, the thing is that the doors will open up for several different amino acids. These amino acids are competing to get through the door. And the thing is if your body needs more of one essential amino acid versus another, your body will say like, okay, I'm not going to let more of this one in because I'm going out of my way to look for a different amino acid to complete it. So unless you're a plant-based runner who's like very picky and is only eating chickpeas or like, only eating black beans or something, you really don't have to worry about getting complete proteins because your body is going out of its way to pick apart, the different amino acids from the different plant-based protein foods that you're eating to make sure that enough of those proteins get through the door to get utilized. Yeah, it was Kristen. So hopefully that answered your question, Elia. Okay, so supplements we've talked about so far. HMB, I am a raving fan of. Omega-3 fatty acids, I am a raving fan of. Collagen is something I take every day, but I don't feel like it's as, beneficial or the science is as strong as it is for the omega-3 and for the HMB. I wanted to mention vitamin D. So this supplement that I'm taking, the fish oil, actually has has vitamin D in it. Vitamin D, I really encourage all of you when you go to the doctor, get tested for vitamin D deficiency. You guys probably already know this. It's very common. And generally, if you're deficient, your doctor will write you a prescription for 50,000 IU for 3 to 4 weeks. You take the prescription and usually you're fine. But that said, of course, always discuss with a doctor, but taking somewhere between 1,000 to 4,000 IU every day for maintenance generally works well in the general population. So as athletes, vitamin D actually gets depleted quicker for us because we are engaging in these different metabolic processes regularly, and we are stressing out our body regularly. And the kind of interesting thing is that vitamin D deficiency is usually diagnosed around like if you're less than 20. But the thing is that for us to have enough vitamin D in our bloodstream to really start to have these like extra benefits from vitamin D, one of which is actually helping to increase muscle growth, is that you really want your levels to be greater than 40. So when I go to the doctor, I'm not only making sure I'm not deficient, but I'm kind of being a little bit annoying to make sure it's greater than 40. So that's part of the reason that I actually do take the vitamin D daily, even though maybe I don't have a true deficiency. And again, discuss with your doctor, but this is just what the literature is suggesting. And in the packet I'm going to send you via email tonight, you'll get to read more about that because I wrote about it in your week 3 guide. We're almost done, guys. Okay, I wanted to give a little shout out to probiotics. Where is my probiotic? So I didn't actually put this on your list just because it's not specific to athletes, but I do take a probiotic every day just because I think probiotics is this new emerging part of literature and science. And eventually 40 is like medium, I would say. It's definitely not high. It's definitely in the normal limit, and I would say it's probably like medium. Good question, Elia. I take a probiotic every day. The microbiome, or basically all the little bugs that are in your colon, we actually have more cells from these little bugs in our colon than we do have cells in our own human body. Okay, so they legit are like the actual boss of you. So we really want to make sure we're treating them well by eating fruits and veggies and beans, because that's what those bugs like to eat. But we also want to make sure we're having a lot of healthy bugs in our colon. And the way we do that is by eating yogurt and drinking kefir and drinking kombucha, eating these fermented foods like fermented sauerkraut, and then also taking a probiotic. So I'm just giving a little shout out, but we're not going to go too specific into that because it's not specific to athletes. The last thing I wanted to talk about was iron supplementation for menstruating women. So for women who are menstruating, it is important, of course, that you are checking with your doctor to see if you are having iron deficiency anemia, because this can affect how you feel when you're running. If you feel really tired, you feel really lethargic, and it's hard to get for a run, or you're going for a run and you just feel zonked, it's a good question to ask your doctor to check your blood for anemia. And then supplementing, I have a really excellent suggestion for Floradix. It's my favorite iron. It's non-constipating, it's plant-based, and that was just in your supplement guide. The thing I wanted to say is that this is not something that women should be supplementing unless they have deficiency. Okay, so taking iron when you don't have deficiency is not a good idea. So this is specific to women with iron deficiency, and once the iron deficiency is resolved, you stop taking it. If you don't have iron deficiency, you don't take it. So I just wanted to give that little shout out, because iron deficiency needs to be treated, and ways to treat it with food are things like eating red meat, cooking with a cast iron pan. If you're having something like beans or dried fruit, which tend to be high in iron, you want to pair them with a acid like lemon juice or orange juice or vinegar, so that the iron is more bioavailable. So you can treat it with diet, but I think with women who are runners who kind of really need to resolve that issue, taking a supplement is a totally fine idea. You just don't want to take it for longer than you need. Okay, guys, does anyone have any questions? This week was a little bit shorter, but I think that's okay, right? we've been talking a lot. Anyone have any questions? Is bromelain a good supplement for runners? So Kristen, what I know about bromelain is it's a digestive enzyme, and from what I know, there's not strong evidence for it, but if I write that down right now, I can look more into it, because I can't say I know a whole lot about it. So I don't want to lie to you. But from what I know, I can't think of a reason it would be particularly good for runners, but maybe there's more stuff to learn. I don't pretend to know everything.
Yeah, that's why it's easier for me to talk than write. Because I saw that too. Like, I saw stuff online about it, but then when I go look at it in the store, it's always like in the digestive section. So I was like, either I am like reading fake stuff on, I don't know. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem to be like in the right section in the store with where I would expect to see it. Mm-hmm. For instance, so that's why I was asking.
So I'm saying it's a digestive enzyme, but you've read that it's good for runners?
Well, it's good in that it helps promote recovery. So I guess maybe not runners, but I guess people who've had like injuries like take it, and it helps their body like heal faster. I guess it's in pineapples or something like that. Like, it's supposed to be this really, I don't know. I was just interested to know more about it.
I can definitely read up on it. From what I know about it, like you said, it's in pineapples and it's a digestive enzyme. I can't think of a reason it would be good for recovery or for runners, but I can read up about it, because I do not know everything, and I'm happy to always learn more.
Well, thank you.
Of course, no problem. Besides vitamin D, are there other vitamins that you may consider as important seasonal vitamins? Again, so I don't want you guys like getting like so crazed about taking millions of supplements, so I try to keep my recommendations succinct. I will say something like a vitamin C, which is like an antioxidant, obviously, actually has some literature to show that it's not good for runners to be taking vitamin C. And I know this is like cold season in New York, so people do that. But it's thought that the high doses, those like abnormally high doses of antioxidants, actually can affect our body from becoming stronger in the setting of stress. So like running, we talked about how it has these detrimental effects, but it's like a state of hormesis where we're having a little bit of negative, stressful, effect to our body, but that helps our body become stronger, right? Build more muscle, increase our VO2 max, so that next time we can deal with it. And I've read literature that something like taking vitamin C actually can prevent your body from like getting and absorbing that stress and then becoming stronger. Vitamin A, there's not really a reason to supplement with it. Vitamin E, again, because it's such a strong antioxidant, I would stay away from supplementing with it. Vitamin B is everywhere in the diet. I don't think anyone needs to be supplementing with vitamin B unless you're on like a cholesterol medication, in which case you should talk to your doctor about that. Or if you're over the age of 65, you could talk to your doctor about maybe supplementing with B12, but most people really don't have to. So no, I would say vitamin D really is the vitamin to be concerned about. Any specific probiotic recommendations? Because I heard on a podcast they're all different strains. That's an excellent question. Okay, here's the deal with probiotics. That's so frustrating. I have tried so hard to get like a clear-cut recommendation for myself and of course you guys, and it's just so much information. The problem is that every single person is eating different foods. So these different foods are feeding the bacteria and therefore affecting how they grow differently. And then every single person, their microbiome and their colon is diversified with different species. And depending on which species is dominant is going to change, how the body reacts to it. So it's really hard for scientific studies to be happening now because there's so many variables. So that's why it's just really hard to come up with these like clear-cut recommendations for probiotics. What I have gathered, and this is kind of a little bit me, like I can't like give you the references here because this is just me reading and I don't even know where I read this, is that one, probiotics that are shelf stable are better than ones that need to be refrigerated because the like enteric coating on them and what the company had to do to keep the bugs alive is really good, and therefore it's a better probiotic. I know things that are third-party tested tend to be better too. So buying a probiotic that was third-party tested is a good idea. When you are looking at the different strains, Lactobacillus and Bifidus are two strains that have good research to show that they are really beneficial to human health. That said, the more strains, the better, because we really don't know what all these different strains do, and we really want to diversify our colon. So you want a high CFU count, which is like how many bugs are in the pill, but then also having that diversity of different species is also a good idea. I kind of just go with the flow and trust the companies in terms of like if you're treating, let's say like a yeast infection or urinary tract infection, buying the women's health vitamin or women's health probiotic. Or if you're a male and you're taking a probiotic, buying the men's health one. There's different strains for like IBS that have good evidence. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but I know there is a strain that's really good for irritable bowel syndrome. If you have that issue, you can message me. I'm happy to read up on it because I did have a client once that I recommended that. But that said, again, I'm just telling you what I've read because I've so desperately tried to get like a hardcore recommendation for myself and for you guys. I would say shelf-stable brands, more CFU is better, third-party tested is better, and more diversity of species and looking for the Lactobacillus and the Bifidus bacteria strains because those have really good studies behind them. Probiotic gummies, are they okay? Just apply what I just said about the normal probiotics, and if they meet those criteria, they're okay. Stephanie has heard about bromelain. I will read up on it because maybe it's something I don't know about. I'm happy to read up on it. That's actually very exciting. Any more questions, guys? These were some fabulous questions. Ilya, I just remembered. In terms of like taking a multivitamin, this is a question I get a lot. So I'm not a big like multivitamin person because I know personally I'm eating vegetables every single day. I'm eating fruits every single day. I'm eating healthy fats every single day. But if you are someone who has a more limited palate, maybe you're someone who's like, I'm picky, I eat bread, I maybe eat tomatoes, but like, you're a pickier person. I think having a multivitamin every other month, just so you don't like kind of overdose on anything, is an okay strategy. Like it's a totally appropriate plan to say, every other month I'm going to take a multivitamin just because I know I need to fill in some nutrient gaps because I'm a picky eater. And a brand I really like is Garden of Life for multivitamins. Any other questions? Barb just emailed me. Oh, this was a good question. So in terms of the calorie information and the nutrient information on the menus, so I was kind of intentional in not including it just because I really wanted Sorry, Ilya. So every other month to take the multivitamins. So you're taking a month on, a month off. So I was kind of being intentional with not including the macronutrient and calorie information for the menus, just because I really want you guys thinking with your belly. Like, I really want you guys eating these meals and kind of paying attention to how you feel, rather than kind of being scared off by eating something because you see it has like 60 grams of carbohydrate or something. Because I think sometimes, I actually know for a fact, working with people, I'll be like, oh, you need to eat 60 grams of carb at this meal. And they'll be like, 60? That's so big. Like, oh my God, I can't do that. And then they realize like, oh, it's a cup of rice. Like, yeah, I can eat a cup of rice. And I think we get so scared by the numbers that sometimes it prevents us from being able to eat the food and the nutrition that we need. I cannot tell you how many clients I have, they come to me and they think they're overeating and they're actually undereating. And like, by actually increasing their nutrition, increasing what they're eating, is actually the way we get them to perform better, feel better, and to lose weight. So I was kind of being intentional with not including the macros. That said though, if you email me, I'll send you the calorie breakdown, because I want you guys to feel like I'm supporting you if that's something you really need. But I was being intentional. Maybe I was being a little sneaky. I just didn't want anyone to be afraid to eat something because they saw it had this many grams of protein or this many grams of carb. I really want you guys fueling yourselves as athletes rather than kind of like calorie counting or being afraid to eat what you need to support athleticism. Any other questions? No problem, Barb. And if you still want the calorie information, just email me and I'm happy to provide it. This was all about you guys. Like, part of my passion is truly teaching people to, Alice was wondering too. Part of my passion is really teaching people how to eat intuitively, and to really, instead of being worried about like counting grams of macros and being so hung up on the minutia of the numbers, I really want you guys to think of this as food. So like, how does a cup of oats make me feel? Rather than thinking like, oh my God, I just ate 45 grams of carbohydrate and that's such a big number and now I can only eat another 100 grams. Like, I really want you guys thinking, how does my body feel? And really being aware of the fact that some days you might eat a quarter cup of oats and you're stuffed. And other days you might need a whole cup of oats because that's what your body needs that day because you worked out hard that day, or maybe you're on your period and you're hungrier that day, or maybe like you're a little stressed and you didn't sleep so much and you need a little bit more food. So it's okay to listen to your hunger and your body rather than being so hung up on calorie counting. Jonathan, no problem about missing it. It is totally fine. So again, if you guys want the calorie information, just email me and I will provide it to you. But I was being a little sneaky. I'm trying to teach you guys intuitive eating. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for your time. I am very appreciative. You guys really bring so much joy into my life every week, asking me questions and trusting me to teach you. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your week. The replay will be in your inbox either tonight or tomorrow, as well as the updated week 3 guide. Good night, guys.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much.